Hello and welcome to another part of Shadowrun Hong Kong Extended Edition bonus campaign by Old Man Memo. Today's it's the 10th part, and in the last episode we have run away from Tiger's den through the motor pool, where a lot of HKPF members were hunting for us. Luckily we were able to jump on a ship prepared for us by Jomo, and because our impound load was compromised by the crate, we went directly to some new safe place, and we will go there right now. So let's see what awaits us at this safe place. The Benteng. The drunken mistakes turbocharged motors churned through the open water, leaving a trail of frothy sea behind you. The Aberdeen docks quickly recede into the distance, and Jomo probes you steadily deeper into international waters. On the back of the boat, Q stands alone, one hand cupped over her ear, shouting into her comlink. You can't make out what she's saying over the roar of the drunken mistakes engines, but from the expression on her face, it isn't going well. Jomo throttles down the engines, nervously staring into the water just beyond the speedboat's hull. You soon discover why. Sea mines. With careful precision, the pirate steers the nimble craft around them, aided only by his skill and a handful of Indonesian curses. As Jomo pilots you through the minefield, a jagged shape in the distance begins to grow larger. It's huge, a slab-like ship surrounded by a number of smaller vessels. Grinning, Jomo steers you straight ahead to join them. Continue. You step onto the converted barge with unsteady legs. The deck rocks with the rolling motion of the waves, and you can hear the slap of water against the hull below your feet. The air here is permeated with smell of engine oil and these diesel fumes, all intermixed with the sweat of sailors and the sweet aroma of roasting amberjack. Welcome aboard the Benteng, the jewel of the Loho Joa fleet. He flashes you a brilliant smile. You will be safe here, safer than you were in the impound yard in here or at your mother's state. Nothing enters these waters without Captain Utama's permission. With all due respect, it's just a barge. The HKPF has its own navy. Navy or no, they dare not approach. Jomo sweeps his arm across the deck, smiling brilliantly. Look around you. See for yourself. In the distance, a cluster of enormous guns rise above the Benteng's deck. Heavy artillery coupled with a group of old model RS CWIS systems, millions of yuan worth of restricted military hardware, all mounted to a creaking barge with the resale value of a mid-ranged sedan. The seabed beneath your feet is littered with the carcasses of countless drones and aircraft. He pumps his arms excitedly, miming the action of a cannon firing on an airborne target. They all meet their doom to the roar of the Benteng's mighty guns. Sheets of flying lead tore, wings from fuselages ripped through cockpits, shredded parachutes to tattered wrecks. And the waters that she protects are no safer from our enemies. Envision the seabed far beneath your feet. He sweeps his arms low towards the waves on the far horizon. New life springs from the bones of petrol craft, coral of 1,000 hues sprouting like weed from the bloated bodies of those fools who have dared to trespass here. Our minds make short work of these who approach by sea. An elvish crewman steps forward and claps a hand onto the orc's shoulders. His voice comes out in a breathy rumble. Jomo speaks the truth, Shadowrunner. Nothing can approach this ship and live. Your guns are impressive, but that's a pretty big claim. Believe what you like, and I wouldn't question the Benteng's capabilities in front of the captain if I were you. She is waiting for you. By the way, in your place, I would not keep her waiting long. What about my crew? They will wait for you in that rusted hulk that you call a home. The one the corporate people towed here. He jerks a thumb over his shoulder. It's over there. The Kraken is here, but she isn't seaworthy. How did you? I made some calls. Q rubs her temples, squinting. She looks exhausted. Amazing how much freight you can move with a tugboat and a couple of industrial lifting airframes. It must be nice being able to call in favors from a megacorp on a whim. And it didn't happen on a whim, believe me. My relationship with corporate is beyond strained at the moment. You can talk with your friends later. Now, go to Tama, and be quick about it. I tell you this for your own good. He's right. Wait for me at the Kraken. We'll catch up after I'm done with the tour. As you say, my friend, he taps a cigarette out of the pack in his breast pocket. I shall inspect the Kraken and see if anything was damaged during transit. Jomo gives you a nod. Q, Memu, you're with me. We have a captain to meet. Objective edit, meet Captain Utama. Okay, so let's run a little bit around, but not before spending some karma. Six punch into cyberware and another 6 to quickness. Well, there is no better option. I'm out of everything, maybe the biotech, but you don't need biotech if you don't get it in the first place. So let's put let's use this. Okay, let's run a little bit around. Wow, they towed also the big cyberware van. At least it looks like it. Benteng interior. Let's get to the other side of the ship then. A small inspection never hurts. But looks like there is absolutely nothing So yeah, let's go to the Benteng's interior. Nothing here. Just engines. An empty room with one guy who doesn't want to talk with us. And Captain Utama. Let's talk to him. Or her. Probably her. Whether a thrall with a relaxed posture and a commanding presence dominates the cabin. Her face is serious, but her dual-colored eyes glint with curiosity as she runs them over you. It is my honor to introduce you to Captain Utama, our most gracious and benevolent host. Jumo bows deeply. My captain, I thank you for your gorgeous hospitality. I remain your humble servant and offer my deepest respect. She steps forward and places a gnarled hand on Jomo's shoulder. Straighten your damn neck, Jomo. Pay your respect if you must, but I have no use for men who bow and scrape. Jomo's back snaps straight and he hurriedly retreats to his original position. His smile remains as relaxed as ever, but you can't help to notice the bead of perspiration that traces its way down his forehead. The captain shifts her gaze to you, studying your face through eyes the color of dirty eyes. A smile slowly creeps across her face, twisting the scar across her lips into a second grin. As for you, Shadowrunner, you are welcome aboard the Benteng. Mind my rules, and you may stay here for as long as you wish. No offense, but you're a pirate. Why are you being so generous with us? Her lips spread into a toothy smile. Money. Why else? I didn't grant you asylum out of the goodness of my heart. Savor this moment, Memo. You're looking at the end result of me calling in the very last of my favors with corporate. The scared troll's smile broadens. My hospitality is not given, Shadowrun. It is rented. Now, before you get settled in, there is a small matter that we must discuss. I'm listening. She rests her hands on her hips. This is my ship. Your friend here has paid your passage, yes, but if you prove to be a disruptive presence on this vessel, I will not hesitate to have you tossed overboard. Unless you relish the idea of swimming with awakened sharks and active minds, you will mind your manners during your stay. Colorful description. You've got a flair for the dramatic. True, I am not without a sense of style. Just hit my words, you hear me? You wouldn't be the first guest that I've had to put over the side. They won't make a peep, Captain Utama, I promise. This is gonna be a home for the foreseeable future, Memo. We've got nowhere else to go, and I'm fresh out of strings to pull. We get Mitsuhama something that they can use, something irrefutable, or we resign ourselves to life on the open sea. Then we find them something that they can use. That's right, we do, and we start with Lamb's PDA. Meet me at my command trailer. We're gonna correct that thing, and we're going to find some answers. Objective edit, talk to queue, and command trailer. Okay, so let's talk to Utama again. The captain's wheelhouse is surprisingly warm, despite its coldly utilitarian interior. Sounds of the sea breeze outside roll over the cabin. The soft wheel still hums through the cluttered room. You find Tama standing near a makeshift wet bar crates and tool chest loaded full of liquor bottles, all piled onto a coffee table that sags under their weight. The captain swirls a clear, yellow-tinted liquid around the interior of a thick glass. You watch her grab a pinch of what looks like a salt from a small open dish, then carefully sprinkle it into the cup. Her voice is hard when she addresses you, but her eyes remain locked on the drink, which she continues to swish around and around in ever-tightening circles. Getting acquainted with the Benteng, are we? She holds the glass up to her nose and inhales. Satisfied, she takes a sip. Her eyes flash towards you. Good. I hate drinking alone. She motions towards the wet bar with her elbow. Water? I'll have what you're having. A bemused grin graces the captain's scared face. Oh, are you sure? No questions asked? Laid on me. Utama swirls the liquid inside her glass, then tilts it your way. Have at it. Smell the drink. Her eyebrows raise. You're cautious. Good for you. We will outlaw most of my crew with that attitude. So, what do you think? Academic action? Very nice. Fresh pressed, I'm assuming, judging by the color and viscosity. I guess that this was sourced from a farming region inside Hong Kong. Utama closes a hand on her shoulder. You're correct, of course. Guava juice, freshly pressed from the fruit grown in the Yuan-Long district. I respect a man who knows his fruit. Extravagancies such as this, sir, as well on the open sea. Scurvy is no joke after all. She takes a slow sip of her drink. With a smack of her lips, she tilts her head towards you and stares at you through dual-colored eyes. So, what brings you here? Something on your mind, Shadowrunner? I noticed a small saucer of powder over on the wet bar. What is it? Utama sniffs out slowly through her nose, studies you for a moment before replying. What do you think it is? I don't know, so you sprinkle it into your drink, though? Ah, she rubs a hand along the back of her neck. I spent the better part of my life on the open ocean. They say that when you first start sailing, you have to earn your sea legs. Otherwise, the rolling sickness will get you. I never did that. Never had to. I had my sea legs from the first time I ever set foot on a boat. Didn't realize that it could catch up to you, though, since that as I get older, my stomach rolls with the waves more and more. She points toward the powder in the saucer. It's an antiemetic, keeps me from turning green on the job. You ever find yourself in need of some, you help yourself to my stash, but don't overdo it, a little goes a long way. What it's like to be a female pirate? Got its up, got its down. Many sailing men, captains and crew alike view female seafarers with a critical eye. We're always at a disadvantage. The glare has even landed on me from time to time. Never mind the fact that I'm one of the best damned sea captains ever to grace the ports of this sorry planet. I have to make a display of my power before I'm assumed to have it. On the other hand, and in that same vein, we're often underestimated. This can work to our advantage. I'll never demean myself to gain the upper hand, but I will use immense idiocy against him to my own benefit. There's no shame in that. The Captain flicks a piece of a lint of her shirt. At the end of the day, I wouldn't change things. It's a good life, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. Never mind, gotta go. Okay, so we had a nice talk with our new captain. Andrei Lukianov. Let's talk to him. Racks of medical supplies and cybernetic components line the wall of this room. Across from the doorway, heavy-duty instruments are crammed together to conserve as much space as possible. Many of them look neglected, with a fine layer of dust and grime coating every raised surface. Other implements have clearly seen such regular use that they appear polished from all the handling. A man stands towards the left side of the room. He wears a fitted, high-collared coat that looks like it gives him a lot of movement, room for and flexibility in his arms. A virtual retinal display hangs over his right eye, highlighting it in yellow. He greets you with a nod and a quick smile. Welcome. He studies your face. You are new around here, I take it. Without waiting for an answer, he continues. The name's Andrei, and I'm in the ware business. I've got a large inventory if you're interested in buying. I'm more interested in answers. You have a minute? Andrei's eyes narrow. He takes a half step back and cautious look on his face. Yes, what kind of answers? Who are you? Relax, man. I'm just new to this whole pirating thing and I'd like to ask you about it. The man visibly relaxes. He exhales through his mouth, finishing the gesture with a smile. Oh, sorry about that. Those who roll with pirates often have long and colorful histories. Lord knows what I do. I meant no offense. Sounds like you're carrying some baggage, Andrei. I know what that's like. He runs a hand behind his neck carefully, considering his next words. Slowly, he responds, Yeah, I suppose that if you're here, you would. It isn't a terribly exciting story. Let's just say that I've got a few creditors after my ass and leave it at that. I got nothing but time, man. If you want to talk about it, I'll be happy to listen. Alright, why not? The Joholoa appears to be sold on the value of the Shadowrunners. They must have information that I don't, but if they trust you, then I suppose that's all I need. He grabs his bearded chin and his eyes sink to the floor in thought. Well, where to begin? I was a physician back in Russia, worked in a trauma ward. It was an emotionally grueling profession. One thing led to another, and it wasn't long before I found myself hooked on BTL chips. That's where the debt comes in. A lot of debt. So much that there was no way I could pay it all back in my lifetime. Given my options, I decided that a do-over was in order, so I left my old friend behind. Well, I tried to. At any rate, it seemed that no matter where I went, my creditors were always right on my tail, all the way up, until I fled to Indonesia. He smiles weakly. There, I met the glorious Captain Utama and her sailors. The rest is history. There's no way that this bunch let you on board for free. What was the catch? You're a sharp one. Nothing comes free, eh? The price of my asylum here was 10 years of indentured service at the Bentengs on board Cybersurgeon. At the time, I thought the deal manageable, but my continuing habit has since driven those 10 years of service up to 30. Through this, I may die before I ever repay the captain, but let me tell you, indentured service among the Joa beats the hell out of being a debtor back in the motherland. He looks contentedly around the medical bay. I got more here than I could ever have hoped for in my old life. And how are you getting along with the pirates? I've gotten used to them, and they've gotten used to me. They can be real slave drivers at times, but at their core, they're decent people. They may have laid claim to me for the rest of my natural life, but at least they wouldn't work a man to death, he chuckles. Well, not quickly anyway. Like you said, it could be worse. I'm glad it's not. I try to remind myself of that as often as I can. I have a lot to be grateful for, even if it doesn't always feel like it. He snaps out of his nostalgia and stands up straight. His tone becomes businesslike again. Anyway, is there something that I can get you while you're here? Well, I need some cyberware. Well, it's the same as before. Money skin. Well, I have 4,500, so let's not do this yet. Just check the medical supplies. Typical. The same as in the lot. Anything else? Maybe later. See ya. Yeah, maybe later. Hopefully not. Cooking woman. A woman in an unmoored trench coat hunches over a smoking grill, her assault rifle leaned up against a nearby crate. She prods at an assortment of rapidly blackening fish, eel, squid, and other sea life, all the while fixing them with a critical glare. She glances up and squints as you approach. Huh, you're not a prisoner, and you don't look like a pirate, and this sure as hell ain't the standard tourist destination. Welcome to Benteng, wherever you are, and the finest pirate barge in at least a 50-mile radius. You don't look much like a pirate either. I'm not. I'm a mercenary. The name's Chastity Blackwell. The Joholoa are letting me stay here between jobs cause I've done some works for them in the past. I don't get shot at out here, and a lot of potential clients come to visit Utama. It's a better deal than I'd usually get. So why are you cooking all this fish? Because Utama's cooks, if you can call them that, are goddamn atrocious. I've eaten prison food in Ulaanbaatar that tastes better. Word to the wise, unless you want to eat sludge that looks like it was poured from a septic tank, you're gonna have to cook your own meals out here. Trust me, it's worth it. Why doesn't Utama have a better cook? Honestly, I don't know. A good cook will make or break morale. Anybody who's ever served on a ship knows that. I can only assume that Rinaldi is really good at something else. From what I hear, he used to be a targeting officer on a Rebel Hulk missile cruiser. Maybe he is the guy that set up the Benteng's defensive perimeter. I'm not sure. Still, you think that a bunch of them Filipinos and Indonesian pirates would stock up a half-decent spice cabinet, but no. It's all prepackaged spice mixes, mostly scrounged from instant noodle packages. I'd have killed for some sambal oelek a month ago, after Rinaldi tried to make some bebek goreng using fast food chili packets. They finally let me go ashore for supplies. What do you know about the Joholoa? Quite a bit. They're pirates. They live around Hong Kong, and Jomo is only slightly crazier than most of them. What else is there to know? Sorry. I assume you're interested in something in particular? How do they get started? How did they get started? They were Filipino refugees, mostly. Two clans, the Joho and Loa, resisted the Japanese occupation of the Philippines. Some joined the Hakka rebels, but most decided to join the Hakka fishing communities around Hong Kong. Over the years, they intermarried at first with each other, and then with the Chinese, Indonesians, and Malaysians as well. The whole venture is pretty much a family affair. Each ship tends to be a run along family lines. The captain is the family elder, backed up by their spouse as first mate. The eldest child, sometimes sibling, is the bosun, and kids are the deckhands. It seems to work out well. It's basically just the family business. The fleets of ships are extended family. Chastity gestures towards the expanse of the Benteng, smiling crookedly. Because of that, they're united but independent. Take Benteng, for example. It isn't just Utama's ship, it's her family, her house, her business, and her legacy to pass on to her children. That's part of why they don't like stand-up fights as much as they do hit-and-run jobs. Nobody wants to get their family killed. Where do they operate? They'll go anywhere in the South China Sea. I've heard stories that they get as far north as Guangzhou sometimes, and makes rundowns to Darwin if the cargo's right. But in the terms of their home base, it's been in Sai Kung for over 10 years. They're 100% Hong Kong natives, even if some of the locals don't seem to think so. Chastity grins crookedly. I guess that's part of why I like them so much. They are the kind of mixed up, multinational family that makes the modern world so interesting. Their own nation is their fleet. And their language, a mix-up of Indonesian and Cantonese, Tagalog, Malay, Spanish and English. They're beholden to no one but themselves. That's an admirable thing in this day and age. What's a pirate life like? Chastity frowns, glancing at you in a sidelong fashion. Why are you asking me and not Jomo? You know him better than you know me, and I only know what I see from the outside. I mean, I guess that I know more about them than most people, she sighs and shrugs. Okay, well, I guess the first thing to know is that it isn't as glamorous as they make it out to be. Most of the Jooloa ships are living hand to mouth. They don't have any savings, and they can wind up stranded if something breaks down at sea. It's mostly a lot of sailing around, bribing harbour master to find out what ships are carrying the good stuff, and then running off to steal it all. Some pirates show up with big guns. This family would rather do it with a fast hit and run. Sure, they've got big guns, and they only use them as a last resort. Ammo costs money, you know. Let's talk about something else. How did you get into the cooking? Are you kidding me? Chastity smirks, folding her arms over her chest. After a minute, her smirk fades. Oh, you're serious. Okay, so basically there are 3 types of mercenaries. She lifts a hand and starts counting off on her fingers. The first type are the ones who work for big outfits like MET-2000, Bright Blade Tsunami or whatever. They are not much different from corporate armies in a lot of ways. They got tons of support and finances, so everywhere they go, they build bases with mess halls, barracks, the works. Second, you got small units that sign up with well-established clients. They don't work for a big PMC, but maybe they got a team of 50 or so. They get contracts from reasonable, lucrative clients, a lot of work in Africa from corporations, or urban convoy duty in areas that are still a bit iffy. Places like Caracas, Vladivostok, Lagos, whatever. These units rough it a bit more, but they're usually attached to larger groups as extra muscle. Then you got people like me, true freelancers, cowboys. We fill out the gaps in large units, but we can never tell how big of a group we'll be with. Sometimes a corporation needs some soldiers garrisoned at some mine, and they round up 10 of us and throw us in the field with nothing but what we brought with us. Unless you have some kind of unhealthy love for field rations, you learn to cook whatever you've got around or make friends with someone who does. Why hang out on a boat rather than in a safe house? I like boats. I like sailors. Chase Titis shrugs. I've spent a lot of time as hired muscle on everything from their own container ships to small smuggling vessels. Most of those small boats were in the Aegean though. Quick runs between small islands. Shit, I remember this one time. Chase Titis suddenly starts snickering to herself. The snicker becomes a chuckle, and the chuckle eventually turns out to a roaring laugh as she doubles over, clutching her sides. You alright there? Chastity begins coughing in an effort to catch her breath. Sorry, She gestures excitedly towards the grill with one hand. The fish! Finally, pulling herself together, the mercenary stands up and takes a long, deep breath. Wiping a tear from her eye, she launches into a story. Okay, so this one time I was out on a fishing boat, but the skipper was actually running guns and missiles to Bari, right? Not much danger out there, aside from other gun runners and pirates, so we were taking it slow. A nice, warm summer cruise. I'd been amusing myself by fishing while I kept watch. I got a tug on my line, and I reeled this amazing gilt-head sea bream, and was beautiful and a good 10 kilos. She stares off into the distance, shaking her head in disbelief. I knew right then that it's what we were having for dinner that night. Doesn't seem such a funny story so far. One of the other mechs on the boat was this elf pistol adept, fastidious guy, like his fine wine and food. Anyway, he sidles up, asks what I'm gonna do with it. What I think I'm gonna do, I say. I'm gonna grill it up with some olive oil, lemons and garlic. You know, standard Greek-style stuff. Well, the elf gets a look like I slapped his mother. He just screws his face up into a sneer and asks what the hell is wrong with me. I ask him how he'd do it. You have to poach a fish like that. Lay down a bed of pilaf rice, zucchini, bell peppers and onions. You cook it slow in foil with a touch of wine. Only a barbarian would grill it, he says to me. Chastity dips her head, grinning. That wasn't something I was prepared to hear. I explained to him that to preserve the fish's natural flavor, grilling was a superior choice. I might have suggested he had delusions of aristocracy. He countered that his method would create a superior flavor profile overall. As well be a complete meal, and questioned if my mother had been a goat, and my father a chimpanzee. That went on until he had his Colt Manhunter's barrel high-five into my mouth, and my combat knife was pressing against his trachea. We would have kept up our argument too, if the first mate hadn't doused us with a fire hose. Chastity grins at you expectantly. How did you end up cooking it? We didn't. When we got blasted by the fire hose, the fish got washed through a scupper and back out into the sea. I think we ended up having spam and eggs instead. See you. Ah, funny. That's what you get when you are arguing with someone over a silly stuff. You get probably nothing in the end. Friendly orc. With an easy smile and a relaxed body language, something about this orc seems intrinsically pleasant. Despite the myriad guns and swords laying on the table near him, he raises a hand in greeting as you approach. Hey stranger, always nice to see a new face out here. Nice to meet you too. You part of the crew? Who, me? No man, I'm just hanging out here until my next job. I know some of the crew and it's a good transit hub if you're looking to go places by ship and stay off the official records. It's a pretty cool place, truth to be told. The name's Garrick, by the way, Wandering Swordsman, at your service. So you're a running or something? Something like that. The more appropriate term in Hong Kong would be Yao Hap. But same difference, Garrick shrugs. You boil it down. I'm a street samurai who happens to be good with a blade. Guns too, but I like swords. Where are you from? Garrick doesn't sound like a Chinese name. I grew up on the streets in Oakland, California, Free State. You know, Oakland? Garrick gestures towards his two tusks, grinning. Non-humans weren't very welcome in San Francisco after Japan began protecting it. Anybody who wasn't highly connected to a normal human got shot out. I'm sure you run into something with an axe to grind against dwarves at some point in your life. Think of that, but make it the law. Now imagine that the thugs are getting up in your face, think you're a monster that's going to kill their kids. Long story short, they marched us out at gunpoint. It happened right before I was born, but I heard a lot of stories. What's the California Free State like these days? Kind of pile of crap. San Francisco's all wrapped up by the Japanese megas. Their playground basically. Los Angeles is an independent city-state, when your biggest claims to power and fame are Sacramento and Ventura. You know, they're really scraping the barrel. Nah, I don't miss it. Not one bit. How do you get into the whole Wandering Swordsman thing? It seems a bit melodramatic. I grew up on stories about Wandering Jiang-Hu, swordsman and other martial artists. I loved reading the books like The Water Margin, The Deer and The Cauldron and The Journey to the West. There is a kind of romance to it that appealed to me, and still does. An outlaw living by their own code, fighting the mighty powers and living by their own wits. It beats the usual story I knew. Born poor, starve, die poor. Garrick gestures off toward the distance. Most people out there haven't got a shred of hope that there's anything better. When you live like that, it grinds you down. I figure if I can see my life as a modern version of one of those classics, I'll keep my spirits up. and that's worth more to me than all the yuan in the world. How did you end up here in Hong Kong? Eric snaps his fingers excitedly. Aha! This ties into my tragic past, a tale of revenge and foreign lands, swords and sorcery, of dead parents and the criminal underworld. Why are you smiling if it's so tragic? Well, what do you expect? It happened when I was a kid, that was ages ago. I lived in a slum surrounded by gangers and junkies. Objectively speaking, it was probably the best thing that happened to me, and got me out of Auckland. I'd gone to the corner store, and when I got back home, my home was on fire. Mom and Dad had been hacked up with a machete. Don't know why. Maybe a BTL debt. Maybe they just got on the wrong side of one of the local gangs. Long story short, a local fixer felt bad and took me in, started me off as an assistant and moved me up to be his muscle as I got older. Sounds like a familiar story to me. Figured it might. People like us, we tend to come from the same kind of places. Nobody gives up easy street for a life of crime unless they're seriously screwed in the head. But it's a better life than begging or being at the bottom of the food chain, yeah? Anyway, once I was old enough, Big Sven, the fixer, hooked me up with my choily food sifu. That was when I got my first street jobs. Odd jobs there and there, and I'm not an adept, so I also had to scrounge to install whatever I could afford. I'm out here because my Shifu figures it's time for me to learn from other masters. It's been visiting monks, tried encounters, and back alley schools for months now. Are you looking to avenge your parents? I guess, if it comes up, or if I hear something. Seems like the kind of thing I should be honor-bound to do, but it was so damned long ago, I figure I can afford to let it sit a bit longer. Gorik shrugs, spreading his arms helplessly. Maybe that's kind of weird, but I don't want that part of my past to define me. See you later, Gorik. Hope you find who you're looking for. Hey, thanks. If it happens, it happens. If not, at least I have an interesting trip. That's the thing, really. Be where you are, live when you are. Make sense? Where is Zen, Gorik? Okay, Constable Hugh. Constable Hui. He moved with us as well. The constable attention is locked onto his PDA's display. He inhales through his nose, then speaks. Just because I'm standing here doesn't mean I'm not busy. He shrugs, his status moving with the rise and fall of his shoulders. State your business. Nice neck tattoo. Were you a ganger before you became a cop? Yeah, I got jumped in when I was a kid, in my old neighborhood. It was impossible not to be. I got out when I was a teenager, turned my life around. When I landed in the HKPF, they put my background to good use by sending me undercover. You were an ARC? Yep, I worked undercover for a couple of Kowloon City's nasty street gangs, the Bullleg Butchers and the 444s. Helped to bring them down from the inside. Glad to be off that detail. I was good at it, but doing that sort of work takes a toll. What do you do when you're not being a cop? What do I do? You mean, like my hobbies? That's kind of a strange thing to ask. Just humor me, I'm curious. He shrugs. Sure, okay, I paint. Oils, mostly landscape. I've had a few showings in Victoria Harbour coffee shops. Could we change the subject maybe? This is getting a little too personal for my tastes. So, how did you wind up on this task force? My cover got blown. Barely made it out of 444 territory alive. I couldn't stay undercover any longer, so they had to find another use for me. When Lamp told me about this task force, I volunteered. I have to go. He waves you away. Go on then. So, a painter and the police. Let's move a little bit around first. Let's talk to pirate. A bored-looking pirate stands amid a collection of sea mines, a spiral-bound and laminated manual in one hand. The cover reads RS MK62 Naval Mine. He is busily thumbing through it, a sore expression on his face. Hey, you need something? The pirate tosses the manual onto the ground near him. Do you really need a manual for sea mines? It doesn't inspire confidence. Hey friend, I've got to deal with over 30 different types of mines, demolition charges, warheads and bombs, and each one's been bought second-hand from a variety of security agencies, corporations and governments, so you'll have to pardon me if I like to make absolutely certain that I'm following the right steps. The alternative is turning this stuff into a smoking wreck. The pirate jerks a thumb toward the mines. The only reason that the Benteng and our other ships are safe is that we've got enough explosives to level a small island. Without them, we'd be fighting off the pirates left and right. Mines are the pirate code for don't even think about it. You got a name? Call me Tove. Not my real name, obviously, but that shouldn't be a surprise. You? You can call me Mamu. Toke nods in satisfaction. A good name, I think. Nice to meet you. Why are you on mine prep duty? Simple. I spent 12 years with the British Royal Navy as an explosive ordnance disposal technician. If it explodes, I know how to set it up or get rid of it. I wouldn't trust anyone else out there to handle them. That's for damn sure. Nobody else is trained. How do you end up being a pirate? Happenstance mostly. You know what being an EOD tech teaches you to do in the real world? Absolutely nothing. There's not a lot of call for bomb disposal outside of the police, and after my tour of duty was up in the Navy, I've had enough of following orders. After 12 years with Her Majesty's Salty Service, my main aim was to get drunk and forget all about being a sailor. I packed my kit and went out around the world. Ended up in Manila, half dead of alcoholism, and met a local girl named Christina. And got serious. She introduced me to her family, and it turned out they were pirates. After we got married, I figured I might as well make myself useful. So here we are, priming mines. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Right? You like it here? Well, I got nothing to do with it. These pirates are my family, so I gotta stick by them. But yeah, I guess I do. I'd rather be on a beach with a bottle of whiskey, but I can sail to a beach and we've got whiskey in the hold. Nobody asking me to get shot at, and we're prosperous enough to feed ourselves. It's not a bad life, all things considered. Besides, I don't know how to do anything else aside from set up and disarm explosive. Not exactly a normal job. Why would you give it up if you could have a normal life? I don't know, maybe. Hard to say. It's like this. I've spent so long as a sailor that I don't know what I'd do if I wasn't on a boat, surrounded by bombs. Kinda messed up when I said it out loud, but that's the truth of it. See you later. Same to you. Stay safe. Few more people around here. Triple Alpha. Probably another Shadowrunner. A powerfully built woman stands by one of the huge guns, smoking a cigarette. She's carrying a cyberdeck and an assault rifle is slung alongside it. She has the wide-eyed alertness of someone who's either supernaturally hyper-aware or has a lot of headwear. Her stance is easy and relaxed, as the posture of someone who's ready to fight or flee at a moment's notice, but don't expect that she'll have to. The woman nods her head at you, taking a drag on her cigarette. You must be Memu. Heard about that dust at the tiger's den. Glad to see that you got out alive. Have we met? Nah, but I know about the work you were doing for kindly back in here. Josephine, thanks. And all that. The Shadowrun community is pretty small, even in a city as big as Hong Kong. So, I tend to hear about big jobs. Call me Triple Alpha. Us old runners, we gotta stick together, you know. You stand by your queue, they stand by you, and you can't count on anyone else. She pursues her lips, looking around with an annoyed expression. If my crew would ever freaking get here, why am I always the first one on the scene, anyway? I wanna get out of the shadows and onto a beach. You look like you've seen a lot of action yourself. Alpha lets out a rough cackle. Man, you don't know the half of it. You tally up the runs I've been on. I think I might have seen more stuff than even Fast Jack. I might not be as old as him, but I think that I take jobs a lot more regularly than he does. I've been to Los Angeles and Seattle, Hong Kong and Berlin, and everywhere in between. If it's a weapon, I've fired it. If there's a corporation, I've run both for and against it. The woman gestures languidly with her cigarette as she speaks. It's never dull, I'll tell you. How big of a team do you have? We've got a rigger, a mage, an adept. I guess there's also our jack of all trades too. She is not really very good at anything, but she's got a lot of heart. Totally unafraid to march alongside us, even if all she can manage is to blink away with that crappy pistols of hers. And then there's me. You can guess what I do. Alpha gestures to the cyberdeck and assault rifle slung around her back. Why you let your friend tag along if she's not good at anything? Morale, mostly. She is younger than the rest of us and hasn't been sinless as long. We go to her if we need a more down-to-earth opinion on things. Are you staying out of the shadows for good? Alpha shakes her head and stares off into the distance. No, I don't think so. I've been running the shadows for my whole life, and it's all I have ever done. I don't know how to do anything else. This is more of a vacation. A break, if you will. I figure we take a break, hit some beaches, take the sites that are off the beaten path, and come back when we're rested. You keep doing the same thing forever, you're bound to burn out. Alpha glances sidelong at you and gives a little grin. You must get paid quite a lot to be able to take that much time off. She grins and shrugs sheepishly. I don't wanna brag, but I'm kinda rolling in money, yeah. It's a little bittersweet, I guess. Not sure how long we're gonna be out of the life, and will be a few years at least. A lot of our gear and cyberware is getting old, and it's harder to keep up with the other runners out there. That kind of upgrades takes time, you know. Not only do you have to track down the new stuff, you have to recuperate and all that. Pretty sure we'll be back though, and when we are, she makes a low whistle and grins widely. Better watch out, because we'll be top of the line. So, what are you going to do once you're out? Aside from hit a nice beach somewhere, I don't know, there's plenty of interesting stuff to see around the world. She takes a drag on her cigarette and ponders the question. I wanna see some old ruins, you know, temples, castles, stuff like that. I like history, so I'm always excited when I get to go other cities like Rome or Athens. Heck, with as much money as I've got, maybe I'll take a trip into space and play tourist there, too. Never been to space before. See you later, Alpha. Hey, you take care of yourself, okay? It's a rough world out there, and nobody's gonna look out for you except your crew and yourself. I like your style. I kinda feel like we've seen the same kind of runs, so watch your back, okay? She takes a long drag on her cigarette and flicks the butt away before lighting a new one. Always, Alpha. Good man. Never hurts to be careful. She touches two fingers to her brow and over I salute. Good luck. I think we might run into each other again after I've gotten upgraded and taken a bit of a break. Looking forward to it when it happens. Okay. Some other ships here as well. No, not possible to get there. So let's talk to the quartermaster. Back for more gear. If you got the scratch, I can hook you up. I need supplies. Let me see what you got on the rack. What can are you interested in? Firearms and grenades. Okay, let's sell some stuff which we have found. Remington, 1, 2. Oh, now I wish I would have created an ranged guy, because this one would be lovely to have. Not very often you can get something like this in a game. Anyway, I'm not able to have any of it though, so let's sell the money. Let's sell it for money. And almost 10,000. Okay. Anything else? No, thanks. Suit yourself. See you later. Okay. And Sergeant Long. Or Leong. The sergeant takes a long drag on her cigarette before meeting your gaze. She looks preoccupied with something. So, here you are. She closes her eyes and allows the smoke to spill from her lips. When she opens them again, they're on you. What brings you to my corner of the yard, runner? Got a few things on my mind. I figured that you might be able to shed some light on some of them. Now that the shock's worn off, you've got questions, huh? She taps her cigarette, spinning ash to the ground. Alright, tell me what you wanna know. So, how did you wind up with this gig? Things were getting stale back in the office. She grabs her nose and gives it a short rub sniffs. Actually, they'd been stale for a few years. I needed out of that lifeless recycled iron, the constant sound of typing fingers, and the suffocating strange stench of cologne. She looks like she might gag. I could smell my old boss coming from down the hall. Can't blame you then. It's been a real relief to get away from that. Being stationed by the dogs has had its drawback too, but I'd still call it worlds better than the alternative. What do you do when you're not being a cop? It's hard to clock out once you've gotten your badge. A lot of rookies don't realize that it's a 24/7 lifestyle. The better you get, the more it engulfs you. Leung taps her cigarette. A small clump of glowing ash hits the ground. It's like a radar that won't turn off, or a sixth sense, or whatever. She rolls the small stick between her fingers. Point is, I don't get any free time. None? I don't believe it. Even I can find time to take it easy. You know, you want to know what I do in my free time? I sleep, I eat, and if I'm on a new case, I sometimes try to get ahead on my research. The only breaks that cops like me really get to take are the ones that come when our superior officer forces us to go on holiday. You're telling me you'll never find time to do anything leisurely? The sergeant lets out a single short laugh, but looks unamused. She raised her hands in a shrug. I'm doing what I want to be doing. Don't misunderstand that. But if my schedule allows me a moment or two to myself, I'll do what I assume is the usual. Binge watch some Sims, go out to eat, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'd have a dog or a cat. Yeah, a cat. No, a gerbil. Easier. No, you're just messing with me. Her mouth curls into a smug smile. Maybe. I have to go. She nods. Back to it. Okay, so before going to the command trailer, let's see what's on the Kraken. Well, everything seems to be more or less in one piece. Did you and Q get anything figured out? More to the point, do you know who we're fighting yet? Not yet. She wants me to meet her to go over what we have. Might as well get to it then, because we've got nothing. Oh, NFH, hurry. These choppy waters are doing a number on my stomach, and I'm fresh out of the Dramamine. Okay, so... Let's check the mission computer. Your workstation and mission computer. The cool blue tones of the workstation main menu fill the screen. A blinking message in the upper right corner notifies that you have 0 unread messages. Access the Shadowrun BBS. Shadowrun connection established successfully. Link string 100%, spoofing 1, group info null anon. Welcome to Shadowland. Post pay data for sale. No, I will not be posting the sorcery. It's against my character. Search BBS for relevant keywords. Topics matching local keywords. Looking for milk run. Experienced, deckard, and a fresh-faced team of runners looking for basic runs. Subcontract your duelist jobs on to us. Preferred no jobs involving experimental stims, secret cam labs, escapes on mopeds, the walled city, underwater pipes, or ferrets. Just to be on the safe side, message me, Shenzhen Joe. Oh, Shenzhen Joe. Wouldn't taking on your duelist jobs make this milk run a bit too, milky? GOG. For this team? No, just this once, and I know that this sounds crazy, so hear me out. I want to go on a run where half the team doesn't get riddled with bullets or dissolved in acid or fed into a giant meat grinder. Call me crazy, but I think it would be a nice change for a pace. Shenzhen Joe. Hey, SJ, I've got a mission that I could probably throw your way. It requires some discreet sewer dredging below a night-errant facility. Security could be lax, and the stories about vacant crocodiles down there are probably just urban legends. You guys want in? Blinky, gotcha, 23. Yes, perfect, Georgie Corgi. Oh, GC, I don't think our partnership is going to work out, Shenzhen Joe. Where's Pinky Swear? Pinky Swear. Hello, Shadows. I'm trying to locate Pinky Swear. Last we heard, our paranoid friend was freaking out over a robot ants, but it's been quite some time since we spoke. Truth be told, I'm getting genuinely worried. Any tips welcome? Oxfist. Yeah, about that haiku stalking, Jackie Chan. You got something? Spit it out, Oxfist. Well, it wasn't Giblet, or Codex, or whatever the Matrix or Ramon Mail seems to believe. Jackie Chan. Jackie, as in with a J. I have a sinking feeling that I know what you're about to tell me, Oxfist. Yeah, it was me. After Pinky and I split up, Pinky never changed the door codes. When I figured that out, I thought I'd just, play a harmless prank. Jackie Chan. You got a funny definitions of harmless. She's probably in the middle of psychotic break, running through the hills to escape a bunch of imaginary poetry ants. Oxfist. Well, if she's gone, we could raid her apartment. She's loads of great gear, and she was probably too busy panicking to change the codes. Again, Jackie Chan. Fuck it, count me in. Oxfist. No more posts in this thread. Go back. Go back. And walk away. I don't think there will be anything else down there besides empty rooms, but let's check it out. Just in case. Well, maybe change a stash a little bit if I don't know what I have in inventory. Flashbang and wall take. Let's use the phosphorus instead of flashbang. Noodle machine. It's warm to touch. Okay. Let's just, for a fun, try to talk with Gobet again, but I think she sends me again to Q. Hey again, welcome back. You find anything of use? Yeah. Can't talk with them before going into the command trailer. Nothing here, so let's talk to Q. Q's command trailer is strangely peaceful. The crew of systems experts that formerly manned the multitude of terminals inside are nowhere to be found, and the omnipresent hum of the trailer's computer banks has fallen silent. The senior inspector glances up from her desk, half turning to face you. Good, you're here. The sentence trails to nothing as she squeezes her eyes shut, wincing. Her hands go up to rub her temples. You okay? Will be. Migraine. She rubs her temples with both hands. Feels like someone lit a fire behind my eyes. Nobody has as many headaches as you do. That drain still bothering you? That's one way of putting it. Feels like it's driving a railroad spike through my temples. She gives her head an agitated shake. The necklace that I was wearing didn't help matters much. Damn thing masked my aura just fine, but it wasn't particularly easy to carry. Oh, so the necklace made your headaches worse? She nods grimly. Yeah, it hurt to use. Like looking through lenses ground to someone else's prescription. Made the drain from spellcasting hurt more too. Through this, I've been in constant pain for the past couple of months. Cost of doing business, I guess. I'd be a lot more sympathetic if you hadn't fucked with my head while I was knocked out. She stares at you hard. After a few seconds, she averts her gaze. Fair enough. The conversation lulls. The pause stretches to the 15 seconds before Q opens her mouth again. Look, I get that you might not care, but you should know that I soaked up some nasty drain breaking us out of the trap. I'm not at 100%, and I probably won't be for a month. That will make what's coming harder for you. I don't need you at 100%. Get me into a room with crate, and I handle the rest. You might have to. But let's hope that it doesn't come to that. She shakes her head to clear it, gritting her teeth in discomfort. Okay, we've got a job to do, so let's do it. Not yet. I told you that we were gonna have a serious discussion about when we go out of the tiger's den. Now it's the time. She sighs heavily, rubs the bridge of her nose. Yeah, you did say that, and I did agree. Go ahead and say what you want to say. You've got my attention. Tell me about your magic. I need to know more about your capabilities before we enter the field again. What you saw in the Tiger's Den is what you get. I can make you move faster, I can make your aim better, and I can reduce small groups of assholes to their component atoms. And in a pinch, I'm a crack shot with my duty weapons, so we've got that going for us too. That's about it. That's what I can do. But like I said, I'm not operating at peak efficiency right now. Truth be told, I'm having trouble staying upright. Another hit of drain like that last one, and I'll be in trouble. Let's make sure that it doesn't come to that. There's something else I want to talk to you about. Go ahead then. You kept secrets from Lamb. I want to make sure that you aren't keeping any more from me. If I had any more surprises in store, I'd have sprung them on you already. But I don't, Memu. I'm pissed off, I'm hurt, I'm charred, and I'm scared to death of what's coming. All that I really want to do is lie down and sleep for a month. But that isn't an option either. You expect me to believe that? She rubs her temples again. Look, if I do anything that sets off any alarm bells for you, feel free to put a bullet in my head. I'm too hurt and I'm too tired to try stopping you. But for now, can we just try work together and get ourselves out of the situation? I don't know about you, but I don't want to spend the rest of my life on this boat. Before we move to the PDA, I have another question. Talk then. Tell me what's bothering you. Let's clean the air so that we can concentrate on the job. You told Lamb that you suspected Q, but not him. Why? Because he was an idealist, a damned cheerleader. Truth be told, he was always moralizing, going on about the standards that we needed to hold ourselves to. She grinds her teeth in aggravation. He used to harp on and on about transparency and accountability, about how we were supposed to serve the public first and the council second. Idealists are more dangerous than pragmatists, in my experience. Yeah, well, you're not wrong there. Obviously, my trusting Lem was a mistake. There's something else that I want to talk to you about. Go ahead then. You owe me an apology, Q. Her lips curled into a grimace. This about the magical interrogation? I already told you that I was sorry about that. Sorry doesn't cut it. You fucking tortured me, Q. Yeah, okay, so what exactly do you want me to do about that? I've already blown all my money and influence saving our lives. Apologies are all that I've got left to give at the moment. You owe me one, Q. I want you to acknowledge that, and when I choose to collect, I don't want to hear any arguments. Her voice goes cold. Did you forget about the part where I saved your life? And I saved yours. Or do you think that you could have fought your way out of the Tiger's Den on your own? Alright, I owe you one. No, can we please look at the PDA? I'm ready when you are. Show me the PDA and we'll get to work. You fish Lamb's PDA out of the evidence bag that Q's had. You put it in. The device is in bad shape. Its case warped and bent, but the screen winks on at your command. The display is streaked with Lamb's dried blood. It looks like red gelatin, thin and watery. You can just make out the text underneath. Browse the PDA's file system. Lamb. Andy, secure mailboxes, inbox 2, outbox 3, live chat 1, trash bin 12, junk mail 6340. Let's check the live chat folder first. Live chat. One chat memo. Read the chat exchange. Did you authorize a second mind probe of Mammalian while we were unconscious? I'm looking at the transcript of his interview, and he insists that two mages were screwing around with his brain last night. Lamb Andy. No, I was against you having him scanned in the first place, remember? Why would I give authorization for two different mages to poke around in his brain? Q. Fiona. I don't know. Maybe you wanted two sets of findings to check against one another. I know that you have trust issues where magic is concerned. Lamb Andy. I didn't authorize anything, Lamb, and unless we have a second magical interrogator that I don't know about on the task force, I'm gonna go ahead and guess that he's making it up. Q. Fiona. So, what? You just want to dismiss this? You don't think it warrants further investigation? Lamb Andy. In a perfect world, I'll tell you to knock yourself out, but right now, in the world that we live in, there's no time for that. We're too close to Craig to go hunting for a mystery mage who may or may not exist. Q. Fiona. Lamb Andy? The council doesn't want any more delays, Lamb. Neither does Mitsuhama. So drop it and do your job. I don't want to have to tell corporate about this. Q. Fiona. Alright, Fee. You win for now, but this discussion isn't over. Lamb Andy. Yeah, Lamb, it is. Keep going, Memo. Let's see what else there is to see. Return to the mailboxes menu. Search the trash bin. Little digging reveals a file buried in PDA's trash can. Looks like Lam intended to get rid of it, but he died before he got around to pulling the trigger on it. Read the uncovered file. From crate to Lam Andy. Subject instruction, next steps. Mr. Ko tells me that you accepted our offer. Welcome aboard. Once you delivered Q, report to me and we'll have to relocate it to the typo facility. You'll be safe there. We have the location under 24-hour guard for obvious reasons. From there on out, all that you need to do is keep your head down and count your money. You keep up your end and you're soon to be a wealthy and influential man. K. If Craig's client, whoever it is, has something worth guarding in Typo, then that's what we need to check out. Let's keep going. This is good intel, but we need to get everything out of this PDA that we can. Search the junk mail folder. Lamb's junk mail folder is packed to the jails with all manner of unsolicited messages, scam mail, advertisement for everything from illicit drugs to designer electronics, and countless pornographic images. We fill the screen. It would take days to sort through all of this for anything useful, and searching by trial and error would likely expose the PDA to a whole host of nasty worms and viruses. Remind me never to open my own junk box folder. Search junk mail folder for tagged messages. Search by tag. Enter tag ID. Let's try Mitsuhama. No. Return to main menu. Or No mission items left. Return to the main menu. Search the inbox. Inbox, mail, package delivery, and second mail standing orders. Read the first message. From Q, Wallace to Lam Andy. Subject, package delivery. Everything is ready on our end. Now you need to hold up your end of the deal. The package has to be delivered before the wildcard leaves the evidence room, or this whole thing is going to get messy. I'm the package, I guess. Making me the wildcard. She rolls her eyes. What an idiot. If he wanted to speak in code, he could have been a little less obvious about it. If things do get messy, it's your ass, Lam. Crate wants things to go by the numbers, and that means both the package and the wildcard code in the same trap. We can't chance the package catching a bullet before we can question her, and a firefight in the hallway could raise questions. You know your job. Do it well, and you'll get what you were promised. Cool. Who was the Tarkvo's magical interrogator, right? The pockmarked guy who worked me over before you got to me. Yeah, now he's a mound of bloody ash, decorating the floor of the Tiger's Den's evidence room. Overall, I'd call that an improvement. Read the second message. From Crate to Lam Andy. Standing orders. Mr. Lam, much as I appreciate your concerns for the citizens of Hong Kong, it is not your place to question my tactics. The behavior of the SDU is none of your concern. The changes that you hope to see will never come about while Mitsuhama is viewed favorably by the Executive Council. Our clients want to see its reputation tarnished, and a certain amount of heavy-handedness on our part is necessary to make that happen. It's all a part of the plan, Senior Inspector. You do your job, and let me do mine. Great. Alright, so that's where Cried and her people come into this, the massacre and the end of the Kowloon City riots, the police brutality that led to these riots in the first place. They were all intended to hurt Mitsuhama's PR. What's the end goal? Why would anyone spend this much money to thank the reputation of their own police force? Taking out civil authority could be the first stage of a military coup. She shakes her head, frowning. Maybe. Let's keep reading. Okay, return to the mailbox menu. And outbox. Okay, I'm in Justice. The second mail and fourth one. ZZ XDSE P004. Let me write this down. Let's read the first message. From Lam Andy to Q Wallace. Subject. Okay, I'm in. Alright, Q. I've reconsidered your proposal and I want in. You were right. Q is a lost cause. She's corporate to the bone, and trying to argue with her is like talking to a brick wall. She doesn't give a damn about what the HKPF is supposed to stand for. All that matters to her is the company's bottom line. Oh, fuck you, you little weasel. At least I don't turn on my own people for a paycheck. It's funny, I used to be such an idealist. I joined the HKPF because I wanted to help people, but that isn't what this organization is about, whatever the recruiters say. Good cops don't have a place in Mitsuhama's police force. The corporate culture of the HKPF either changes them if they're weak or chews them up if they're strong. Either way, they wind up broken and I can't be a part of that machine anymore. The big change you're talking about is a change to fix things. A real, honest-to-God chance. And so, as much as I hate your methods, I'm going to help you. I'm not doing it for the money, I'm doing it because I want the HKPF to be better. And this is a chance to make that happen. Any more chance, maybe, but it's better than nothing. Sounds like he's expecting some sort of shake-up within the HKPF. He frowns, deepens. Yeah, sounds that way. Tell Crane I'm in. I can bring you Q and I can help you to dismantle this task force. But you should know that if you've been bullshitting me, if things don't change for the better, I'm coming after you. You can count on that. Lamb. Tough talk. Think he could have backed it up? Lamb? No, not in a million years. The fool would have gotten himself killed, one way or another. Still, we learned something here. Lamb was convinced that Kraid and her people were working towards some sort of shake-up in the HKPF, a big change. What kind of change do you think they're talking about? Not sure yet. I don't want to speculate until we've pulled everything out of this PDA that we can. Let's keep reading. See what else we can turn up. Let's read the second message. From Lan MD to Tonk Irene. Subject Justice. Irene, I know that you have every reason to hate the police, but hear me out. What happened to your family was wrong. I'm gonna do everything I can to make it right. I can't bring your husband back, but I can help make sure that the constables who killed him pay for their crime. Big changes are coming, I promise. Between then and now, please allow me to cover your mortgage payments. I've recently come into a large sum of money and I want you to have it. Consider it a show of a good faith until I can bring you the justice that you deserve. Lamb. I don't know anything about this, she frowns. Must have been related to some old case of Lamb's from before he got assigned to the task force. Or maybe it was a personal thing, a friend of his, or a romantic interest. And with someone he cared about, that much is clear. Sounds like Lamb blamed HKPF culture for this woman's family tragedy. Personal crusades have been started for less. Yeah, sure, good roping, but the people responsible for the Kowloon City massacre out of guilt, though? She shakes her head. What kind of backward thinking is that? The kind that idealists and zealots have always used to justify their actions. Nothing new about it. This whole thing raises more questions than it answers. Let's keep going. There has to be more in here for us to find. Read the third message. This message has been corrupted. A meaningless stream of garbled text fills the screen. Let's the name Irene Tong. Let's write it down. Return to the mailboxes menu. And search the junk mail folder. Let's search for Irene. Not Irena, Irene. Tonk. ZZX DS E dot P O O 4. Now return to main menu. Let's cool. Files tagged cool. One file found. Good catch, Mamu. From Cool Willis to Lam Andy, keep your mouth shut. Don't make me regret the fact that I brought you onto this team. Quit haranguing Kraid with your hide-minded bullshit. She's a busy woman, and she doesn't want to hear it. Kraid is a businesswoman. She isn't in this to change things. She just wants to get paid. If you keep harping about what the people need, you're gonna piss her off. And then we'll both land on their shit list. I get that you have ideals, I respect them, but repeat this to yourself until it sinks in. The people aren't paying us, Ares is. We do what they say, and sometimes that means hurting people. Sack up and deal with it. Shit, if this is true, we've got problems. Ares macro technology is even bigger than Mitsuhama is, and Ares Asia Holdings has a major presence on the Executive Council. Remember, Lam, ultimately, everything we are doing is for the greater good. Just wait until you see what's happening in Taipo with your own eyes. The change that you're looking for is coming, and as long as everything goes according to plan, it will be here before you know it. Play it cool, and everything will be just fine. Cool. Obviously, whoever we were up against was going to have access to money and resources. I expected that, but Ares... well, that's damn near a worst-case scenario for us. She gestures feebly at the screen. Keep reading if you want. I have to think about this for a minute. Let's check crate, Ares and typo. Wrong. Oh, looks like that's all. Okay. So I think hand over the PDA back to Q. I think that's everything we're getting. She accepts the device, a grim expression on her face. Yeah, I'm thinking that maybe you're right. Q turns the PDA over in her hand, then flips off the device power switch. The screen flickers and dies. She rubs her eyes, drawing your attention to the dark hollows underneath them. Alright, so here's what we've got. Great, and her people are working for Ares. They're trying to thank Mitsuhama's reputation with the Executive Council so that they can bring about some kind of change inside the HKPF. And they've got a facility in Taipo that they're keeping under heavy guard. It's presumably related to this change in some way. Sounds about right to me. It isn't much, but it's something. At least we know who's holding Raid's leash. The answer to that question isn't particularly comforting, but it's better than not knowing at all. Here's the million-yuan question. Is this enough to take to the Executive Council? I don't think so. Like I told you before, my credibility is pretty low at this point, and I don't think that anyone in the Council is likely to risk pointing the finger at Ares without more proof to go on. I'll call them, but I can't make any promises. Go back to your board memo, talk to your team. I'll call you when I know more. Got it. I'll go talk to them. Objective complete, and the return to safe boat. And Lamp's PDA was removed. One thing I'm still missing, and it's someone who is selling electronics. Let's check down the doctor. Andrei looks up from a cylindrical piece of electronics that he's studying. He lifts an eyebrow. Ah, back again. What it will be this time? Gotta go later. So... did I miss anyone? For the hacking device? Need something else? Go on, I'm listening. Never mind, good to go. I must have missed someone selling ESPs, or there is no one at the moment here. I haven't seen Jomo anywhere. Let's check it one more time. Oh. Oh, no. You cannot get up there. Let's check the quartermasters one more time. Special stock, no. Not armor. I'm good. See you later. So no. I could use some. Let's try to talk. Hi there, you need something from me? Nope. Okay, let's talk to the crew. Hopefully I can see Jomo after that. Hey again, welcome back. You find anything of use? Yeah, we know who we're up against. Great, and her people are being funded by Ares. That's not what I was hoping to hear. Ares is serious business. So, what's next? we can exactly take the fight to them. We aren't equipped for that. We're trying to bring the Executive Council into it. They might be able to help. Somehow, I doubt that it will be that easy, my friend. These things seldom are, but perhaps... Your PDA buzzes, cutting him off. Q, answer the call. Q's face flickers onto the PDA's view screen. She looks haggard, even more so than before. The call was a bust, Memo. I've still got a few execs willing to go to bat for me, but the rest have already written us off as a failure. Nobody's gonna risk antagonizing Ares on my say-so. We're gonna need a hell of a lot more than one misfilled email, as if we're gonna convince them to move on this. I guess we're heading to Typo. Yeah, looks that way. She lets out a long sigh. Look, Memu, I told you that you and your team would be well compensated for helping me, but I never really specified exactly what your reward would be. I think that you should know. You've got my attention. We'll start with the bad news. I can't put a monetary value on what your team will receive. Truth be told, I'm gonna have to wrestle with corporate to get them much of anything. A lot of the cost of renting out the Benteng came out of what has been set aside for your reward. Excuse me, what? You'll still get paid, I promise you that, and just won't be enough to retire on. Nothing I can do about it. That's just the way it has to be. Gobet crosses her arms over her chest, a disgusted look on her face. Yeah, I'm sure it is. We should never trust it. We never should have trusted. Q's voice cuts in, talking over her. As for you, Memu, you're a different story. For you, I got something better than money. This had better to be good. It is. I can get your sin restored, Duncan's too. I can give you your old lives back. Holy shit. That's right, imagine the doors that will open for you. You can return to Seattle, pretend that none of this ever happened. Hell, you can go to do whatever you want, and you can do it completely above board. What I'm offering you is the freedom to make your own choices again. The same freedom that Kraid and Josephine thank and kindly Cheng took away from you. Anyway, I just wanted you to know what's on the line before we headed out to Typo. She rubs her eyes, stretches. I'm going to get my kit ready. I'd recommend that you do the same. Hold action on that queue. There are still some jobs that I need to finish, and you need the rest. She frowns. I can't argue with the second part. Okay, Memo, you win. Go, do whatever work you need to do. Tie up loose ends, make your clients happy, take in the sides of the Benteng, all the standard stuff. When you're finished, go to Jomo. He'll sneak us into Typo, and we can finish this. She begins to look away, then seems to think better of it. The camera reflects on her face. Oh, Memu, your boss rock, that Kong that you took from the Eddie Punk, got broken in the move. I found it in about 50 pieces when we got here. It's in the waste baskets under my desk, if you still want it, but I can't imagine it's worth much anymore. Sorry about that. The video feed crackles and dies, Q's face winks off your PDA, and the display goes dark. Well, this presents us with something of a conundrum, my friend. He takes a drag on his cigarette and slowly releases the smoke through his nostrils. Koshchei paws at the ground. If this payment goes through, your Shadowrunning days with this team are over. With a sin, you would be a liability. You could perhaps remain in Hioi, but you need to find a decent line of work. A difficult decision. I put some thought into it. See that you do. For now, we have a job to prepare for. Colonel Cheng wishes us to complete this task, and so we will. Payday or no. This conspiracy could pose a threat to the Yellow Lotus, and we cannot say with certainty whether it does or not until we enter that warehouse in Taipo. We've got other priorities to handle first, but don't worry, we'll head to Taipo soon enough. Objective complete, return to save mode. Let's check the mission computer if anything new. BBS. Nope. Okay, let's talk to the people. Gacho is seated cross-legged on the floor of his cabin, his swords unsheathed in front of him. An array of tools rest nearby, and the air is thick with the scent of clove oil. The tools include a stack of small paper squares, several stones, a tiny metal pick, and a high-tech vice grip of some sort. He raises a hand in greeting as you enter. Pardon me if I do not stand, Memo. Fine, as this swords may be, they require as much maintenance as any other weapon. Burrs to be sanded out, dents to be reformed, etc. The salt air here does the blades no favors. Please, make yourself at home. What's the vice grip for? It is a diamond coating rebounder. It cannot replicate the decoat process that covers the blades, but it can patch spots where the diamond edge coating has worn away or become rough. The materials are rather expensive, as you may guess. Now, what may I do for you? What do you think of the last run? There is little for me to say, as I was not there. Everything I know of what happened is second-hand information. Was there anything else you needed? Talk to you later, Gaicho. Okay, Rector. Rector glances up from his workstation, an eyebrow arching upward as he turns to face you. Under the desk, Koshchei dips its chassis in recognition. Well, my friend, our fortunes have undergone an interesting turn, have they not? I would now have thought to find myself cast out to the sea, but here we are. It beats going back to the impound yard and getting swamped by cops. Indeed, in point of fact, I'm rather enjoying the change of scenery. There is something soothing, almost meditative in watching sea mines bob to the motion of the waves. A relaxed smile spreads across his face. He absent-mindedly fishes cigarettes out of his breast pocket. They're really quite lovely, you know, like enormous sea urchins with shells of rusted iron, pregnant with destructive potential. I'll give you this, Rector. You have an interesting way of looking at the world. Yes, my friend, I suppose that I do. He snatches a butane torch from the desk, flicks it on, and whisks his cigarette from the flame. A plume of grey smoke curls towards the ceiling. You will forgive me my flights of fancy, I'm sure. How are you enjoying life on the Benteng? Huh, he pauses a moment, considering. Truthfully, I rather like it. She's a lovely old vessel, and well suited to her role as a floating fortress. And you? How are you enjoying our new, if temporary home? Well, she's well armed, I'll give her that. As long as she keeps the HKPF at bay, I'm happy to be here. The police wouldn't dare venture anywhere near this ship. What is our value compared to that of a patrol boat and the lives of the herd crew? He shakes his head. Too much to risk for too little gain. They will not come for us here. What do you think of that last run? We have a lead, and we're one step closer to being done with this foolishness. These are positive things, I should think. Lamb's betrayal was aggravating, but not surprising. Only a fool would trust anyone on this task force. They all suckle from the corporate teeth. Still, our hit on the Tiger's Den was ultimately positive. Now we're lashed to a pirate ship, enjoying the swell of the waves and the smell of salt in the air. A rather large improvement by anybody's standards. Now, do you have any other questions, or shall I return to my work? Got around later. Okay, next is Duncan. Nothing new in my room in between. You find Duncan pacing the small room, his thoughts elsewhere, but his reverie breaks as soon as you approach him. He looks thankful for the distraction. What's up? What do you think of that last run? Duncan grits his teeth at the question. Lamb, that fucking traitor. For all the senior inspector's planning and big promises, this task force ended up getting boned just as badly as we usually do by our clients. Leaking information, switching sides, raising the stakes. I know that as runners, it's us versus everyone else, but it's at times like these when I really feel it. He opens and closes his hands as if trying to work at all the tension out of them. At least Q's still with us. He scoffs. Q, best of luck to her. We'll play our part in this game of hers. Let's hope she still knows what the fuck she's doing. Thanks for listening, FH. We're balls deep in this now. No way out. I'm ready to change the subject. How about you? Got a run later. Go bet. You enter Gobet's cabin to find her gulping something from a cheap plastic mug. As the mug's contents slosh and churn, a sharp antiseptic note stings your nostrils. She glances up from her drink and locks eyes with you. The pirates make this. I think it's like a kind of whiskey. She frowns down at the mug. I don't know what they make it from, but it tastes like salty turpentine. Why are you drinking it? Because I needed a drink and this stuff kicks like a mule. I mean, it's definitely swill, but it's powerful swill. You want some? Sure, hit me with it. She hands you the mug. That antiseptic odor hits you and the sinuses again, bringing water to your eyes. It smells anything but appetizing, and it doesn't look much better. Have a drink, and bottoms up. You tilt back the mug and fill your mouth with liqueur. The flavor is repulsive. It's closer to an industrial solvent than a beverage, and your stomach turns as the fluid traces a grainy, fiery trail down your throat. Every bodily instinct that you possess urges you to spit it out. It purge yourself of the horrible poison that you ingested. Handle it. You fight your rebelling body and force yourself to keep the fluid down. A few seconds later, a pleasant warmth begins to radiate from your chest out through the tips of your fingers. The aftertaste is still vile, but the buzz is quite pleasant. Nicely done, Memo. 10 points for style, she smiles at you. So, what did you want to talk about? Go ahead and tell me. I'm all ears. What do you think of the Benteng? And the rigged out barge that doesn't go anywhere, that makes it a glorified raft. Thinks back to the last raft we spent a lot of time on. The sinking ship. Think of the shit that went down there. Remember the smell of the killing pit? The disease of ridden red monsters that tried to eat us? That isn't the kind of thing that you forget, Gobet. Yeah, well, then you already know the answer to your question. It's not that I don't appreciate the pirates are... what the pirates are doing for us. Hell, I kind of like some of them. They're a fun group. I just pretend to hang out on a dry ground, is all. Her knees flex as she adjusts to a sudden sway of the deck. A rogue wave. After it passes, she puts her hands on her hips and focuses on you. Anyway, what about you, Memu? How are you enjoying the pirate life? It's a temporary fix for a bad situation, and I'm at peace with that. Sounds like we're on the same page, more or less. Just try to make it as temporary a fix as possible, huh? I don't want to spend any more time out here than I have to. Anyway, let's talk about something else. Change the subject. Surprise me. What do you think of that last run? Well, we got some answers and we didn't get killed. That's something, I guess. Can't say I'm thrilled about being betrayed like we were or hunted down or any of that, but I guess that it beats getting shot. If there's a silver lining to be found here, I guess it's that we know where we're going next. Granted, we don't know what we'll find when we get there, but we've got a destination. That's better than nothing. Anyway, let's talk about something else. Got any more questions for me? If so, go ahead. I'm all ears. Gotta run later. And Isabel, the last person to talk. You sense a change in the environment. Immediately upon entering the room, seconds later it hits you. It's quiet in here. The usual drone of beeps, hums and fans is conspicuously absent. Isabel leans up against a steel table, picking what looks like glass off of a warped circuit board. Her profile is illuminated with a blue-green glow by the glowing screen beside her. She looks up at you with heavy eyes. She speaks, and her tone is grave. So, it all comes down to this. We knew that this was coming. What I find surprising is what's happening in here. Why is it so quiet? Her hand pauses, and a piece of glass falls from between her fingers. She hesitates, sets down the circuit board. Had to power on and everything down, just in case. Well, in case something happens and I don't come back. Her eyes bore into the floor at her feet, except for the octopus. That is, the octopus stays on. We'll be back, Isabel. We've lived through a hell of a lot worse. You shouldn't trivialize this mission, Memo. Every run could be our last, even the small ones. We are Shadowrunners. You got to think cautiously, always. I will, if you will. The little decker rolls her eyes at your comment, but the corner of her mouth lifts into a smile. Yeah, Momo, okay, I can do that. What do you think of the last run? I wasn't there. I was sitting here on the boat, tooling around the octopus and wishing that we were still docked in Hioi. So yeah, that's pretty much what I thought. Any more questions? That's all for now. See ya. Okay, let's go out. First, go into the trailer if we can get something out of the... No, we can't. So our Neolithic statue is broken. But where are you, Joe? Ah, here you are. Good. Jomo notes at you with a mischievous grin. Things all sorted out now? Utama happy? You too? How can Jomo help you today? Well, let's see what you're selling, Jomo. Okay, Cyberdex, I have the best one. Consumables, we'll see. Programs, so I have boost, the better one, degrade, erosion, firewall, killer, killjoy 2, no killjoy 3. I have killjoy 1. Okay. Let's buy it then. Let's buy this one as well. Blaster 2, we have Blaster 3, yes. How? Erosion and firewall. Yes, killer as well. Shield to 0. Don't have 3-0. Sniffer 3. Okay. You need anything else? Let's see what you're selling, Jamal. Let's see what we can sell. Killjoy shield. That should be it. Okay. See you later, Jomo. Let's see cyberware before going. We have a lot of money now. But I think I'm too cyber heavy now. Not much essence left. I need some cyberware. So the legs. Hydraulic jack, it's too expensive and a lot of... This one is nice and only for half the essence. Let's see what we have for body and for skin. +2 armor, +1 body, +1 charisma. +1 armor. This could be fun. And it costs 0. Or 2000. It's probably too late to get any use of this, but whatever. Install cyberware. Cyberware causes essence loss. This affects the magic rating of your character as the magic is equal to essence rounded down. Yada yada yada. You cannot have less than 1 essence. Confirm. You want anything else? I need some cyberware. And the body. Oh, +1 weapon. 1.5. Self-heal. This is to all physical, passive +1 to all physical attributes. Just for the sake of it. +1 to all physical attributes is crazy. Install cyberware. Confirm. You want anything else? Gotta go. Later. Let me see. Body strength and quickness +1 to everything. with these 2 upgrades and charisma up to 5. Nice. Unfortunately, well. Let's go to Jomo then, and well, let's just in case talk to the lady. Captain. Never mind, good to go. Okay, so it's time to leave the Benteng. And take the job. Back so soon? Tell me then, what can Jomo do for you? Let's finish this. Take me to Typo to face crate. Travel to Typo. You sure? You might be a one-way trip. Yeah, take me there. Okay, so... looks like the guys from the ship are not on the list. Sad. Okay, take Gobet as always, Rector as always. And this time Gaichu or Duncan? Yeah, I like Gaichu as well, but if this will be a final mission, I want to have my old friend with me. So let's take Duncan. Confirm. Travel to Typo? Confirm. And that's it for today's episode. We ended up on the pirate ship Benteng and we found out who is behind the crate. And it's not nice. It's RS Corporation and we have a lot of trouble to solve before we can accuse them and approach the Executive Council. But that will be for another episode. For now, if you enjoyed the game, feel free to follow me on Twitch, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you soon. Enjoy the rest of your day.